What's up? Hi, my name is John. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Like Alcohol's Anonymous here, right? So, for months, for years really, I've had friends telling me, hey, with the amount of stuff that you have to say about the Buffalo Bills and the experiences you've had with the Buffalo Bills and how it affects your life, you really need to make something of it. Why not make a YouTube channel? So here I am, finally deciding to do so. So the idea of this channel is to discuss Buffalo Bills related things that I've experienced in my life, how they've affected my life, what it entails being a Buffalo Bills fan, how it affects me and my family, my wife especially. And I want to do that until the season starts. Once we start rolling around into the season, my plan is to preview upcoming games. And then a couple days after, or maybe the day after a game, review the game. I intend on having some special guests, some friends, some Bills fans, some non-Bills fans to, come on and have some discussions about experiences, games, what have you. So, for the people that don't know me, I grew up on Long Island, which is a suburb of New York City, if you don't know. It's about a 7-hour drive from Buffalo, from Orchard Park. I made several trips up there to go see the Bills play. But being from Long Island, it's the land of the New Jersey Jets and the New Jersey Giants, right? I'm surrounded by Giants and Jets fans, especially Jet fans whom I hate. Okay, that's for another episode. We can go into the depths of my hatred for the New Jersey Jets. How I became a Bills fan: my father was a truck driver. Growing up, he was a Jets fan. When the Jets moved to New Jersey, being a truck driver and from New York, you hate the state of New Jersey. So when they moved to New Jersey, he was like, you know what, screw them. The Buffalo Bills are the only New York team, and that's how he became a fan. Now, that's not why I'm a fan of the Buffalo Bills. I don't care where they play. It's just that that's how my father became a fan, and he had converted me to being a Bills fan. So I don't care if they play in New York or if they play in Texas or if they play in Canada. It doesn't matter to me. I love the team regardless. It's got nothing to do with that. But the state of New Jersey, Giants, Jets, New Jersey. So when I was a kid, the very first football game I've ever watched was Super Bowl 21 between the New Jersey Giants and the Denver Broncos. Now, everybody that I was around, my family, my friends, or what have you, were rooting for the Giants. I think we were at some kind of party. I believe I was 10 years old or 9, and I loved the bright orange Broncos jerseys. I loved watching John Elway. I thought he was awesome. I didn't know much about football back then. Football was not too popular in my house. It was more of a baseball house. But I love those orange jerseys. So I rooted for the Broncos. Also because I just wanted to be different. I wanted to be the only kid in the room, the only person in the room rooting for the other team. So I became a Broncos fan. And I was a Broncos fan for some years. My first starter jacket was a Denver Broncos fan. I still have some friends that I talk to on Facebook from school, from elementary school and middle school that say, hey, weren't you a Broncos fan? It's hilarious. So to get into it in another episode, how I was converted was by my father. However, I was told that I cannot root for the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl one year because they played the Broncos in the AFC Championship game, and right towards the end, I got real excited, and not to give it away because it's going to be... I knocked over Josh Allen. It's going to be in another episode. I kind of rooted for the Broncos because it was exciting what happened. And my father told me I couldn't be a Bills fan anymore. But that didn't stick. So Bills fan I am for life. So growing up, the Bills didn't play on local TV. I had to follow the Buffalo Bills by watching the bottom line of Jersey Jets and Jersey Giants games, right? However, in the early 90s, they were somewhat of a powerhouse. So they were on national TV a lot. They were on Monday Night Football a lot, right? They were the game of the week a lot, so I was able to watch. I also watched all the playoff games, obviously, and all 4 Super Bowls. At the time of Super Bowl 25, wide right, when they lost to the New Jersey Giants, I was 13 years old. Again, into football, but didn't know football like I know it now, right? My fandom has definitely escalated up. So it was very different when I was a kid, but still. I remember exactly where it was, Super Bowl 25, and I'll get into that in another episode. So it wasn't until the 2000 season that I began going to the bars and was able to watch every single snap of every single game. It's very ironic because that season, the 2000 season, was the first season after the illegal forward pass against the Titans, the last playoff game that the Bills had played. The following season was when I got on board of watching every game, and people that know me know there's a thing called the Larson Curse, and for years I thought I was the Larson Curse because that year 2000 was the first season that stretched the 18-year playoff drought, and a lot of people thought it was because I was watching them religiously, and that's why they went on that drought. And hey, who knows, because the Larson Curse is kind of powerful and is just as real as death and taxes, so maybe I was the one, I don't know. So now, currently, I live in Texas, moved here in 2013. There are no Buffalo Bills fans here, right? None. I have maybe met one person, and he wasn't even a real Bills fan, right? It happens all the time. People are like, wow, Bills fan. You don't see a lot of that down here. I got pulled over by a cop one time, and he saw my little Buffalo Bills helmet hanging from the rearview mirror, and wow, Bills fan. You don't see a lot of it down here, And remember, they went to 2 Super Bowls against the Cowboys, and I live in Cowboy Nation. AT&T Stadium is 20 minutes down the road, so this is Cowboys heaven. So that's actually what people think about all the time when they hear Buffalo Bills. They think about those 2 Super Bowls, the 52-17 debacle. They want to throw that in my face. So let's see. My wife hates football. Okay, we moved down to the land of football. Texas is the land of football, and my wife hates it. Her exact words are she'd rather stick a pin in her eye than watch football. Doesn't help, doesn't make me feel all that good because football is life to me, right? I have 4 boys now, 3 boys that actually are grown and can understand. My oldest son is a Bills fan, simply because I took him to a Bills game in 2012, and that's for another episode. But my son Nick doesn't like anything that has to do with sports, and Gavin just despises sports. So I have one son right now who I can watch games with. However, I just recently had a child. He's just over 5 months, almost 6 months, and his name is Luca, and he has no choice but to love the Buffalo Bills and sports in general. I'm going to shove him down his throat because this is my last chance. I need to have at least 2 of my kids being sports fans and Bills fans. So his name is Luca. I pushed so hard for his name to be Josh Allen. So many people on social media were rooting for me on it, and my wife nixed it. That's fine, it's not a problem. And her point to it was years ago, my youngest son, well, not my youngest son anymore, but when he had the elf on the shelf, he needed to name it, and he went with Squeezer as his first name. And his last name was Larson, because it's the Larson family elf, and he needed to have a middle name. So at the time, that was the year that the Bills drafted Sammy Watkins, and I was really excited about that. So the middle name was Watkins. His name was Squeezer Watkins Larson. So 3 years later, whenever it was, I hated Sammy Watkins, and we had to change the name of the elf because I hated him, right? I was so pissed because he talked so much crap after he left Buffalo. So, we had to change the name, and that's when my wife says to me, what are you going to do if we name this child Josh Allen Larson? And what if Josh Allen doesn't pan out and he sucks, and in a couple of years you don't like him? Now you're going to regret that you named him that, and you're going to think about that every time you call your son's name. So she had a point, I guess. But the flip side of that is, and what I'm going to throw in her face is, in 10, 12, 15 years from now, let's say Josh Allen brings a Super Bowl or 2 or 3 to Buffalo. Say he wins an MVP or 2 or 3. Say he's of the stature of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. Josh Allen's in that category and talked about like that. My son's going to be 15 years old, and he's going to know that he should have been named Josh Allen. He's going to be so mad. He's going to be mad. He's going to be like, Mom, why? Why? So that's the flip side of it. So I've got 12, 15 years to wait for that to happen, but I'm hoping that that's what happens. So my passion for the Buffalo Bills runs deep. I literally would sell my soul to the devil for a Super Bowl win. If the devil was sitting at this table with me right now and said, here's the contract, your soul is mine the day after they win the Super Bowl, I would have zero hesitations of signing that contract. 100%. No doubt in my mind. I am also a Yankee fan. I told you I grew up in a baseball household. Huge Yankee fan. However, I once called into the Michael Kay show. He had his own talk show on ESPN Radio. It was right after the Buffalo Bills signed Terrell Owens. It was a joke. People didn't even know that the Buffalo Bills still played football, and Terrell Owens was kind of a joke player of the NFL. Nobody wanted him, right? So I called in and said, yes, this is definitely good for the Bills because we need exposure. We need spotlight. I'd give anything. I said, as a Yankee fan, and I'm telling this to Michael Kay, as a Yankee fan, I would trade 20 straight years of the New York Yankees finishing in dead last, the worst record in baseball. For 20 straight years, if you can give me one, I did it again, one Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. If you could do that for me, I would make that trade. And still to the day, 100%, I'd take that trade. 100%. So, people wonder, how could you be so passionate about a team that disappoints you year after year? And that is such a great question. So in the early 2000s, they weren't far removed from being a good team, making the playoffs. So early in the early 2000s, yeah, I still had hope. Oh, we're going to be better this year. As it got towards like 2008, 2009, I started being like, I don't know if I can keep on doing this. Early 2010s, 2012, 2013. Every time I wanted to say, we suck, I'm done, they would do something crazy. They would start the year 4-0. And then I'm like, yes, this is the year. And then they would fall apart. It's what the Buffalo Bills do to you. They give you hope for you to be like, I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not, all right, let's get that hope. Yes, we're gonna do it. This is the year. And then they crush your soul. And it's year after year after year. So I want to say around like 2014, 2015, I decided that my expectations are gone. Yep. Cool. We've got this player, we drafted this player. Yeah, they're still going to suck, right? Because I got tired of it. Now it's coming down to the late 2018, 2019, 2020. Things are starting to change. And my wife doesn't want to hear it. My wife doesn't think that I should have any kind of hope because they've constantly done this. But is it different? Is it? I mean, are they predicted to do well this year? Absolutely. But it's still the Buffalo Bills. Should I get my hopes up? That's for another episode to talk about. The best way to explain what the Buffalo Bills' failures and disappointment is like. Here's my analogy. Okay, you're a fan of a team. I'm going to take a random team. Okay, Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, one year they go to the playoffs. They do well. They win a game. They get eliminated. The following year they miss the playoffs. Right? They miss the playoffs again. Now they've got 3 years in a row. Okay, it's like a rubber band. Okay. So if you take a rubber band in your hand and you pull it back a little bit this far, and I go like this and it hits your skin, it's going to sting. It is. But if you do that an inch for every year that you are miserable, say you go 6 years without the playoffs and your team is a joke, and then all of a sudden they're good and they make the playoffs and you let go, yeah, it's going to sting. Imagine Buffalo Bills fans. We've got that thing. We've got that rubber band pulled back 20 inches. Do you know what kind of pain that's going to cause, that rubber band? So my analogy to that is, imagine the impact of waiting that long to be good. So that when the Bills finally actually do something, if and when the Bills actually do something, if the Bills win the Super Bowl, Bills Mafia is going to go crazy. More crazy than any other team in the NFL. That's not debatable. There's no other Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, Miami Dolphins. These teams are close, but they've had success. Minimal success, compared to the Bills that have had zero success. No team can compare to that. So that 20-year itch of finally whap, and that rubber band, the impact of that rubber band, you can't even put it into words. That's my theory. That's how it's going to be when the Bills finally win. So, to close, this is my outlet, a way to try to depict what it's like to be a Bills fan. What it entails, how I handle the pain, how I handle the excitement, even though that's not all that common. So, things that I'm going to have coming up. Like I said, before the season, as we get into the season, I'll do some previews and reviews of the games. But until then, I want to go through some of the highlights and the lowlights of seasons past. I want to talk about the 4 Super Bowl losses, where I was in my life, how I handled them. With that, I'll include like playoff games, that 51-3 ass whooping of the Raiders. The comeback against Houston, and the illegal forward pass against Tennessee. Call it Music City Miracle all you want. We all know it was illegal. My first game that I attended in Buffalo, my first time seeing them play, was actually in New Jersey against the Jets. How they embarrassed themselves on primetime every time, except for last year. Last year they actually showed out. But every time it's like we got national spotlight. Not only are we going to lose this game, but we're going to do something crazy to lose this game. And the thing is, if you're not a Bills fan, you don't remember this stuff, and that's what I want to tell you about. Remind you of the shit that happened, the stuff that happened on national TV that you don't remember. Why? Because it's the Buffalo Bills. Who cares about the Buffalo Bills? So I want to remind you of those things. All the games that I've attended, including my son, Tyler, his first game ever. How the Patriots have abused us for 20 years. I can talk about that for days. The 2017 Week 17 drama when the Ravens lost to the Bengals and the Bills watched it in the locker room in Miami. That was memorable. That was I can talk about that for hours as well. That's going to be a great episode. Break down the 2019 season last year. How Josh Allen grew as a player, 100%. How I'm dealing with the expectations of the 2020 Buffalo Bills, because I don't know how to deal with it, and I'll get into great detail about that and have you understand how difficult it is for a Bills fan to have expectations. So that's all I got. Episode 1. If you like this video, like it. If you want to subscribe to see my videos, do so. I'll be pushing this forward through all different social media outlets. I don't need it to get big. Just it is what it is. Buffalo Bills, right? So with that,